Please note that the content of this episode has explicit language and is not suitable for underage listeners.
Hi, I'm CJ, and I've done phone sex for 23 years. Let's get started. I have a caller that's been calling me for a few years. We started on the platform and went off the platform. He's in his 30s and has specific needs. I might have brought him up in the past in a very vague way. I haven't been sure that I wanted to share all of his needs with you, if you will, but I will share what I'm comfortable sharing. I know I said I would tell you all everything, but I also said in the beginning there are things you can't unhear, and I think also that people typically judge, and I don't want anyone writing me nasty grams, so let me explain a little bit. He has an unhealthy sexual fantasy in regards to his mother. We'll leave it at that. He's married, has kids, and is religious. We've been talking, I want to say, for a few years. At one point, we went off the platform, and when he wanted to talk to me, he would email me on Skype, and sometimes we would talk on Skype, but no camera. He would send me pictures of his wife, his mother, and we would have conversations. He would pay me through a Cash App type of deal. I gave him a deal so that he'd pay less than what he was paying on the platform. The frequency of our conversations, I would say, was anywhere from once a week to once every couple months. It started out very frequent and progressively got less frequent. The reason why we spoke off the platform was, like I said, I gave him a deal and he would pay me through a Cash App. And, I've said it before, people spend too much money and they call, then they stop, and then they call. So it was very sporadic, and he traveled a lot. Sometimes he would call me when he traveled, and sometimes he wouldn't. When he traveled, there was a time where he wanted to find transsexuals, and we'd go online, we'd look that up, and whether he did or didn't, I don't know. I'd have to take his word for it that he would call someone and they would come and he would do whatever it is he was doing. So about a week ago, I get an email from him, and this is what he says. This is a very difficult message for me to send to you. I consider you an actual friend, as you know, and that's why this is so hard. I struggle with my religion and talking to you, and my religion is something very important to me that I'm not going to give up. Recently, I decided I would no longer seek pleasure here in the ways that I had been. I'm crying while I write this because I don't want to lose a friend, but I will no longer be signing into this account as of the end of this week. Of course, I understand that this could be something that you don't agree with, and I will accept that as I'm making this decision for myself. Please believe me when I say that I truly cherish our friendship, and I thank you for the time we spent together. My decision here does not diminish that enjoyment one bit, with much love. My reaction, of course, was, how can I argue with that? I can't. I didn't consider him to be a friend. I thought we were friendly, but on my side, I didn't consider him as a friend. I had to figure out how I was going to respond because I needed to be kind. So here was my response to him. I consider you as a friend as well. We have spent a lot of time together and shared so much. How could I not agree with your decision? That doesn't mean I'm not sad, but I truly understand. I want you to know that in the future, if you ever want or need to reach out, even to say hello, here is my email address. Jot it down or not. You are special, and I thank you for trusting and sharing a sacred part of yourself with me. I thought that was good enough, and he wrote me back. This brought tears to my eyes. Sharing with you meant so much to me and helped me out in ways you cannot fathom. This is very, very difficult for me to do. I wish I could stay in contact with you in some way, but I also know that on some level I shouldn't. So thank you again for being so kind and thoughtful and loving to me. I will always remember the time we spent together and the things we shared. I had a feeling that was how he was going to respond, so my response to him was this. I understand. I will miss you. I wish you all the happiness. So that's it. I lost a customer. I looked through my Skype, and it looks like I took him on Skype in 2022. That's a pretty long time to speak to someone. So besides having unhealthy thoughts about his mother, he was very into dressing in women's clothing and sometimes wearing a diaper, and was doing many things that was against his religion. And I knew that that would catch up with him and hurt him in many ways. I didn't think this would last forever. Nothing does. But I had a feeling that at some point it would catch up to him mentally, and so I wish him nothing but the best. I knew that he just would stop calling one day, and at least he gave me the courtesy of writing to me. The reason why I'm comfortable reading this to you is because at one point he said you could talk about me. So some of the things he said is not for me to talk about on here, even though he said it was okay. I'm not comfortable with it, so I apologize for that. I said I'd be open, but there's certain things I'm not going to be open about, and this is one of them. He's not the only customer I have lost. Some I lose, I think I told you, because of financial reasons. People find that they're spending way too much money and they back off. And some people like him, not too many, but some find a conscience and realize that what they're doing goes against their beliefs or who they really are. They just can't keep going. And I respect it. I'm here. I don't expect anyone to be a forever customer. There is a time and a place, and then they'll move on. And so whether they leave me and go to someone else or they're just done, that's their prerogative, and they do whatever they need to do. I do truly wish him and whoever else that stops calling me, I wish them nothing but the best and happiness, because they deserve it, I think. A friend of mine once said that you grow attachments to people. I don't know if that's true in this particular case, but sometimes it's sadder than other times to lose a customer. But at some point they might get replaced and we move on. So I wanted to share that with you. So I've told you about the guy who calls me up and gets really frustrated with me, and he wants me to tell him to take a hit. He wants me to tell him to feed the piggy. It's all about getting stoned. So he called me the other night, and it wasn't about taking a hit or feeding the piggy. He wasn't quite clear as to what he wanted. I sensed initially that this was going to be a different type of call. The problem with him is, and I've mentioned this before, is that I believe truly that he wants me or any phone sex operator he calls to read his mind, to know what he wants based on previous calls. And so when I asked him how his friend was, his female friend, one of many, he didn't like that, and he got annoyed with me because he said that, I think you're saying that because you think I want you to ask me. And it gets really frustrating because I don't really know what to say to him. So he was talking to me about telling me that he had spoken previously to another phone sex girl, and she didn't get it. She didn't get what he wanted, and I thought I had. So he was telling me a story about having gone to a bar that evening. And he's always teasing me in a way about how famous he is. I've played in Madison Square Garden. I'm an artist. I design clothing. I do this. I do that. He told me where he lives, and I'm supposed to guess. I think on the one hand, he doesn't want me to know who he is. But on the other hand, I think he really does. Well, he made a mistake and he told me his last name. And I've done some commissions for presidents, and I've worked with these rock stars, and on and on and on. And I looked him up. I couldn't help myself. He told me his name. He could be lying. Of course, he could be, but I don't think he is. I would say I'm about 98% sure he didn't lie about who he was. Well, I must confess, I'm not a fan of his artwork. I do love art, but I'm not a fan. Showed a picture of him. I'm not impressed with that either, but it doesn't really matter. I don't care. So once again, it was another night where I could not please him in any way, shape, or form. I would love to please him, make him happy, stay on the phone, have a conversation. It just didn't work. I cannot tell you how frustrating that is. You have no idea how frustrating that is, because when people typically call, they tell me what they want. Now, I don't have enough notes for this guy because it changes every single time, and I can write notes and upon notes, but he may not want that this day. So what do? I don't know. I just know that I take each call as it comes, and hopefully he will be happy with me. Every other time, I don't know, he hangs up on me. I'll keep trying to satisfy him. One of the things he says to me is, you're not excited about this. You're not getting off on this. You're not horny. What's wrong with you? I keep saying to you that it's not about me, even if he wants it to be. I don't even know how to fake it because we're not having phone sex. It's really challenging. He's scattered. His thoughts are scattered. And I think in his head, he knows exactly what he wants, but he doesn't want to articulate it. He wants us to just guess. I don't know. Is it worth it? I don't know, but I will keep trying. I just got off a call. I rarely say a call is strange because, like I said, I don't like judging. But I'm not really judging. I'm more like, it's an observation. Yeah, it's a fine line, I suppose. New caller calls me and says that he doesn't call the line to talk about sex. I say, great. He says, is that okay? I said, absolutely. You can talk about anything you want. So he proceeds to tell me that he has called and had political conversations. Okay. And other conversations of all different kinds of topics. Okay. And I'm thinking to myself, so far so good. So he tells me he got into a conversation with another phone sex girl about martial arts. I said, okay. And I'm thinking to myself, I really don't know about martial arts, but I think that's where we're going. So he says, there's all different kinds. And he names a few. And I said, yeah. And he says, I've been thinking about taking a class. I said, that's great. It's good to have a hobby. He says, what if we lived near each other and we happened to find each other in the same class? And right then I thought, this is going to be interesting. We're kind of turning into something. And I said, well, that could be fun. So he proceeds to say and paint a scenario of us in martial arts class together. And he kept saying, not to diminish the fact that I'm a woman, but he has gotten the upper hand. How would I get out of it? Okay, I'm going to play along. And I say, I would knee you in the crotch so that he would double over in pain and I could get away. Well, he may not want to talk about sex, but this man wants to be kneed in the crotch. And how do I know this? It's his reaction and the use of the term knee strike. That was his term. So you do a knee strike? Yes. He proceeded to say, so you would now have the power. What would you do? And then I said, well, if you're doubled over, I would either run away or throw you on the ground and sit on you and pin you down. Oh, that was such a dilemma for him. Well, for the next 15 or 20 minutes, he kept saying to me, well, how do I get the power? Meaning him. I said, well, if you're on the ground and you start to gain power, I can knee in the balls again, or I can just get off and run away. I said, but wouldn't you overpower me? He didn't like that part. And there wasn't anything specific that he said, but it was like, how am I supposed to overpower you? It was a very strange conversation, but you hear people's inflection. You hear that little, ooh, breaths, comments. And he loved the term knee strike or me saying, I'm going to knee you in the crotch. Oh, now this is the noise he would make. It's that subtle. The is where I knew, he's clearly getting off on it without quote unquote talking about sex. People are so funny and transparent. You don't think I'm going to figure this out? That's your thing. Of course I am. I wasn't born yesterday. Needless to say, I think he got so overly excited. He's like, I got to figure this out. For a while, he was very quiet. I didn't know what was going on. I heard nothing. Like, did he hang up? Sometimes it goes silent before you get this voice saying the call has ended. And I thought, he's gone. But I kept talking. Well, if I'm on top of you, I can knee you in the crotch. Silence. Then he started talking again and he goes, I have to figure this out. I think I'll call you another time. And I said, great. It was a pleasure talking to you. I hope we talk again. I think he got so excited. He just didn't know what to do. And maybe he came. I don't know. Whether we talk again, I don't know. I don't care. Those types of calls are easy, but really it's one of those things where I still think he felt like he was pulling one over on me, and I don't like that. Like it was an innocent call, just having a conversation when I know damn well he's getting off on it. Just don't lie. Tell me you like to be kicked in the balls. Like I told you, I've had other guys tell me that, right? There's some weird enjoyment of the humiliation. He said, whatever the case is, just tell me you like it. But if he did tell me he liked it, I would not have gone down this path because I don't want to inflict pain. But whatever, very strange. I'd prefer someone just be honest with me. Just tell me the truth, please. Anyway, I wanted to relay that to you, that it was very different because most guys, most of them, I told you this before, will tell me, I want to be kicked in the nuts, and then it's up to me to decide whether I want to talk to them. This one was knee strike. When they come up with their own term, very well that this is something they've thought about. This is something they've talked about. And very, very strange. To each his own. I don't know if he'll call back. And if he does, I'll be prepared. So I logged into work the other night and I've been thinking about a caller that I've probably mentioned before. He doesn't call a lot. We chat a lot and I get paid for chatting. So this guy has a habit or pattern of writing me on and off during the day. So when I'm working from home, I can write him back. We chat at night sometimes, and he recently told me that he had a girlfriend. I think that he said they lived together, which is fine. That's no big deal. Well, he disappeared. I was gone on vacation. He wasn't around. You never know where these people go. What happened? You can guess, but you never know. So I was out one evening and I came home late and I looked to see if I had any messages, and there was one from somebody else. I wrote him back, and then this guy pops on. He says, "Hi, I've had minor surgery. That's why I've been away." And this is the second person that's had minor surgery that I chat with. And, they disappear for a while. And he's like, "I hope you're okay." And I said, "I'm good. I went on vacation." He goes, "How was your vacation?" I said, "It was great. How are you?" He said, "Oh, I'm fine." He goes, "I just had a minor surgery, but I'm back." And I said, "That's great. You never know if someone's going to come back. People don't say goodbye. They just leave for a multitude of reasons. Like I've said before, you never know what's going on in someone's life. You can't assume anything or really care about it. You just have to move on. It's nice when they return and tell you what the story is, but I will never ask, like, where you been?" You can't do that. I mean, you can, but you run the risk of being too invested or being nosy. If they feel like telling you, they'll tell you. And he told me. They both told me it was just a little minor surgery, and now I'm back. It was nice to hear from him again. He's been a regular for a very long time. He doesn't call a lot. He used to call a lot more, but what he does is that we'll write to each other on chat, and then he'll ask me to make him tip me, which is a very odd thing, but for some reason he enjoys it. And so it was nice to hear from him. It was a very nice surprise. It was a nice surprise with the other one too. The other one has a very long, ongoing chat with me, which is kind of funny because the other night, this other guy that I was chatting with, we have this ongoing fantasy. And all of a sudden, mid-fantasy, it changed. And I'm trying to follow along. And I said, I'm a little confused. And he writes back saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm on medication. I think I need to go to sleep." I zoned out and I went, "Okay, just checking," because I was very confused that you change fantasies in the middle of the fantasy. So I don't like calling people out, but it was kind of strange. So anyway, no question this week. That's all for now. Thank you for listening to Secrets from a Phone Sex Queen, everything you always wanted to know about phone sex and more. Please reach out to me with your questions and comments at phonesexqueen1@gmail.com. New episodes drop every Monday. Check me out on Facebook at CJ's Podcast and Instagram and TikTok at Phone Queen 1. If you're listening on YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified when a new podcast is dropped. And like I said, please email me. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay sexy.